I'd been single for nearly a year, nursing the bruises of a breakup that left me wary of love. At 27, I wasn't desperate, but I was restless. My friends kept nudging me to get back out there, so I downloaded a dating app half-hearted, expecting nothing but awkward small talk and ghosted chats. That's when I matched with Theo. His profile was a breath of fresh air. A candid photo of him laughing at a farmer's market, holding a basket of apples, and a bio that read, "Introvert who loves deep talks, old records, and spontaneous adventures." His messages were thoughtful. Asking about my favorite book, I said The Night Circus, sharing how he'd spent his weekend hiking alone to clear his head. He seemed quiet, introspective, the kind of guy who'd rather listen than dominate a conversation. After a week of texting, he suggested dinner. "There's this little Italian place on Harper Street," he wrote. "Low-key, great pasta. You in?" My stomach fluttered. I said yes. Saturday night was warm, the kind of summer evening that makes you feel alive. I spent too long getting ready. A flowy dress, hair loose, just enough makeup to feel confident, but not overdone. The restaurant, La Bella Vita, was tucked between a bookstore and a vintage shop, its windows glowing with fairy lights. I arrived early, nerves buzzing, and snagged a table near the back, scrolling my phone to distract myself. I reread Theo's last message. "Excited to meet you, Lena. See you at 7. Simple, sweet, like him. At 7:05, the door swung open and a guy walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair swept back like he'd stepped out of a cologne. As he scanned the room, spotted me and grinned. Not the shy, understated smile I'd imagined, but a megawatt look at me beam that turned heads. "Lena," he called, striding over, his voice booming enough to make the couple next to us glance up. I blinked, thrown. This was Theo. "Hey," I said, standing as he reached the table. He didn't sit. He pulled me into a hug, tight and theatrical, like we were old friends reuniting after years. His cologne was strong, spicy, and he smelled faintly of cigarette smoke, which surprised me. He'd never mentioned smoking. "You look even better than your pics," he said, winking as he dropped into the chair across from me. "Hope you're hungry. This place is unreal." His energy was electric, but not in the quiet, soulful way I'd expected. He was loud, animated, his hands gesturing wildly as he launched into a story about his day. Something about a last-minute client meeting that turned into a total power move. I nodded, trying to keep up, my brain scrambling to reconcile this Theo with the one I'd been texting. The waiter came, and Theo ordered for both of us. "The carbonara's a must, and bring us a bottle of the house red, yeah." Without asking me, I raised an eyebrow, but let it slide, chalking it up to enthusiasm. "So," he said, leaning forward, "tell me about you. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?" I laughed, caught off guard. Probably skydiving last summer. Not my idea, but my friends dragged me. "Skydiving? That's badass," he said, slapping the table loud enough to rattle the silverware. "I've done it 3 times. Nothing beats that rush. You gotta try bungee next. I know a spot in Colorado, insane drop." He kept going, barely pausing, jumping from bungee jumping to a Vegas trip where he almost got kicked out of a casino. I smiled, sipped my water, and waited for a gap to steer things back to anything else. But Theo was a freight train, barreling through stories that felt more like monologues. Our food arrived, and I thought maybe eating would slow him down, but no. He twirled his pasta, talking through bites about his side hustle, some crypto thing I didn't follow, and how he was this close to quitting his marketing job to live the nomad life. The Theo from our texts. The one who'd said he loved quiet nights with a book and a record player was nowhere in sight. This guy was all flash, all noise, like he was auditioning for a reality show. "You're quiet," he said suddenly, pointing his fork at me. "What's up? You good?" I hesitated, picking at my carbonara. "Yeah, just taking it all in." "You're different than I expected." He grinned, leaning back. Good different, right? I mean, online's one thing, but in person, you get the full Theo experience. He spread his arms like he was presenting a prize, and I forced a smile, my stomach sinking. The full Theo experience was overwhelming, and not in a good way. I tried to pivot, hoping to find the guy I'd connected with. So, you mentioned you're into books, I said. What's the last one you read? Oh, yeah, he said, waving a hand. I'm always reading something. Last one was, some self-help thing. Atomic Habits, maybe? Total game changer for my workflow. He launched into a rant about productivity hacks, and I zoned out, nodding on autopilot. Atomic Habits? The Theo I'd texted had raved about Norwegian Wood, said it wrecked him for days. Had that been a lie? A persona? Or was this just him, unfiltered? The night dragged. He dominated every topic, from travel plans he wanted to hit every continent by 30, to his gym routine. He could bench way more than you'd guess. When I managed to slip in a story about a trip to Maine with my family, he cut me off to talk about his own coastal adventure, way crazier than mine. I felt like a prop, not a person, and the spark I'd felt all week fizzled with every word. By dessert, I was done. Ordere tiramisu. Again, without asking, and leaned forward, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. So, Lena, level with me. You're into this, right? I'm feeling a vibe. I stared at him, his cocky grin, his expectant eyes, and something snapped. Honestly, I said, setting my fork down, I'm not sure. You're not what I thought. Our texts were different, quieter. I thought you were more introspective. His grin faltered, just for a second, before he laughed. Loud, forced. Come on, that's just app talk. Gotta keep it chill online, you know? This is the real me. You'll love it once you catch up. Catch up. I echoed, bristling. I'm not trying to catch up. I like the guy I was texting. The one who seemed genuine. He leaned back, crossing his arms. Ouch. Okay, fair. But, nobody's that guy all the time. You gotta give me a chance to show you the fun side. I gave you 3 hours, I said, sharper than I meant. And I still don't know who you are. The air shifted, heavy now. He looked at me, not angry, but confused, like I'd thrown him off script. Wow, he said finally. Didn't expect that. Most girls love the energy. I'm not most girls, I said, standing. I should go. Thanks for dinner. Lena, wait, he started, but I was already grabbing my purse, leaving cash for my half on the table. I walked out, the fairy lights blurring as my eyes stung. The night air hit me, cool and sharp, and I kept walking, not looking back. I got home, kicked off my shoes, and sank onto the couch, replaying it all. Had I been too harsh, too quick to judge? But no. The Theo I'd met wasn't the Theo I'd matched with. The guy I'd spent a week texting. The one who'd said he loved rainy days and deep conversations. Was a mirage. Or maybe he'd been real, but only in pieces, hidden under the loud, larger-than-life version I'd met tonight. Either way, it hurt. Not heartbreak, not yet, but the sting of hope crashing into reality. I deleted the app that night, too raw to even look at his profile again. My phone buzzed an hour later. A text from Theo. Sorry if I came on strong. Can we try again? Coffee, low-key. I stared at it, tempted for a second, but I didn't reply. I couldn't trust who'd show up. The next few weeks were quiet. I threw myself into work, designing logos for a small startup, and leaned on my friends, who listened as I dissected the date over wine. He catfished you with his personality, my best friend Mia said, half laughing. That's a new one. I laughed too, but it didn't erase the ache. I'd liked him. Or the idea of him. And losing that, even briefly, left a mark. Then, a month later, I saw him. I was at a record store, flipping through vinyl, when I heard that voice. Loud, unmistakable. Yo, this is a classic. Theo was at the counter, holding up a Beatles album, joking with the cashier. I froze, half hidden behind a rack, watching. He looked the same. Flashy, commanding the room. But there was something else. He was alone, no audience. And when the cashier handed him the record, his smile was softer, almost shy. Like the Theo I'd texted. I could have left, but I didn't. I stepped out, heart pounding, and said, "Theo!" He turned, surprised, then grinned. Not the megawatt one, but something smaller, realer. "Lena? Holy. Hey, what's up?" "Just browsing," I said, nodding at the records. "Didn't expect to see you." "Yeah, same." He rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous tick I hadn't noticed before. "Look, I owe you an apology. That night I was... a lot. I get like that sometimes, trying to impress. It was too much." I crossed my arms, not ready to let him off. It wasn't just too much. It was... like, you were someone else. The guy I texted was different. "I know," he said, voice low. I lean into that quiet side online because it's easier. In person, I overcompensate. Bad habit. I like talking to you, though. For real. I studied him. The record in his hand. The way he wasn't performing now. "So which one's you?" I asked. "The loud guy or the quiet one?" "Both, I guess," he said, shrugging. "Working on balancing it. You were right to call me out. Made me think." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to walk away, keep the clean break, but another part, the part that still remembered his texts, saw something worth hearing. "Okay," I said finally. "Thanks for saying that. Any chance for that coffee?" he asked, half smiling, no pressure. I hesitated, then shook my head, soft but firm. "I don't think so. But good luck, Theo. With the balance." He nodded, no pushback, just a quiet, "Take care, Lena." I left the store, vinyl unpurchased, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Months later, at a friend's dinner party, I told the story. The date, the disconnect, the record store run-in. Everyone laughed, but my sister, ever the romantic, leaned in. "You sure you don't want to give him another shot?" "Nah," I said, smiling. "I'm holding out for someone who's the same guy online and off." She raised her glass. "To knowing what you want." I clinked mine against hers, and for the first time in a long time, I believed I did.